Brandon.
Nope.
Brandon Marshall's fine, but now we got the real star of the show, Chris Mannix here.
You see how they twist the words around? They did exactly.
No, he didn't twist it.
Okay. Exactly. Sure.
Verbatim. Yeah.
Love to have you here.
Good to be here.
Great. Brandon, as always, love you being here. Let's talk about other things. Let's talk about the enigma that is Kyrie Irving. This summer, it was the New York team in Brooklyn who signed Kyrie and KD, not the one at the Garden. And while the Knicks have had their own share of problems, Brooklyn might have one too. Kyrie's missed the last 9 games with a shoulder injury, and in his absence, the team has gone 6-3. With him in the lineup, they were 4-7. Nick, you buy the narrative that the Nets are actually better without Kyrie?
So this is so interesting. And I'm so glad you're here, not just because you cover the whole league, but you obviously cover the Celtics on a local level and the whole league on a national level, so you have real contact with Kyrie from the last couple of years. This now is 3 places that this has happened. Cleveland, before LeBron got there, was terrible with Kyrie as the lead guy, but he's young and the roster wasn't good. But the problem was, if you looked at the on-court, off-court numbers, if LeBron wasn't on the court, even the 3 years they played together, and it was, hey, for 3 minutes at the end of the first quarter, lead us, Kyrie, the Cavs were a bad team. They were bad with Kyrie as the lead dog over the course of a season. But we also saw him in the NBA Finals and in the playoffs consistently be exceptional alongside LeBron. He then gets to Boston. And that first year in Boston, correct me if my history's wrong, things are going really well. Aside, I mean, Gordon Hayward suffers a horrific injury, which is awful, but team's playing really well. Then Kyrie gets hurt, and they go on this really improbable, magical playoff run that, yeah, it did take them 7 games in the first round, but they won it. Then they win in the second round. They get up 3-2 on the Cavs before LeBron goes Superman on them to end their year. The next year in Boston, they are worse than the team that we saw at the end of last year, and what you saw was Tatum and Brown and other guys not know their way exactly. And now we're in Brooklyn, a team that last year was not only just a surprising team, but a good team with good young players coming together. And Kyrie gets there, and Spencer Dinwiddie's production falls off. And the team Kyrie's numbers are unbelievable. He's averaging almost 30 points a game. He's sensational. He hits a game winner. He almost hits another game winner. He does all these things, but the team is losing. Then Kyrie gets hurt, and all of a sudden Dinwiddie's playing himself again. The team's winning. And so at some point, it's not a coincidence. I can't find the analytical reasoning, which is what I try to lean on, aside from maybe he is such a ball-centric player and such a gravitational player as far as everything has to revolve around his offense that other guys get stagnant. But right now, it does not appear that he can be the best player on a team that can even be good, much less great.
Well, there's some truth to that. I think that the comparisons you're making for me are a bit of a bridge too far, right? Okay. The Cavaliers stuff, that was post-LeBron. They were young. They were bad. They were a mess. Boston, look, I am all for giving Kyrie his share of the blame in Boston. His lack of leadership was a driving force behind why that team melted down. Though I would say in the year before, they were playing really good basketball right up until Kyrie got hurt.
Yep.
Right up. So, like, Kyrie going down, it's not like they were playing poorly, then took off.
Correct.
They were playing great, and then they took off and surprised people at the end. This Nets situation is totally different to me because look at who they're beating right now. Like, you're not going to sit there and say they can't beat Chicago, Charlotte, Sacramento, New York, Cleveland. On this run, Boston's really the only good team they've beaten here. So I believe they'd have the same record if Kyrie was in the mix. And the numbers you talk about, Nick, this season, yeah, they're 4-6 with Kyrie in the lineup, but offensively, their numbers are better in virtually every possible way with Kyrie out.
Oh, by the way, that was the same with Boston last year when he was in or out, because last year even he missed time, and we talked about it, that all of their numbers were better with him than without him, except for wins. Like, and that was, and I'm not talking about year 1 with Kyrie, I'm talking about with year 2, and it's just, to me, it's last year I always dismissed it, Jenna. Whenever you would bring up, here's the record without Kyrie, here's the, and I would dismiss it. I'm like, he is the best player on the team. You cannot take him out and make your team better. But if it happens again, and maybe this is too small of a sample, then to me it's something that has to be acknowledged.
I'm not concerned at all. I'm actually moving back to Brooklyn. All right. So 3 years I played in New York, 1 with the Jets, 2 with the Jets, 1 with the Giants. I lived in Brooklyn. All right. I'm a Brooklyn guy now. I'm moving back to Brooklyn, and when I do, my son and I, we're going to sit courtside. I am more excited about this team now than I ever have been. This isn't about Kyrie, right? This is just about the narrative. This is the story, right? And so if we want to dive into the story, let's do that, okay? When you look at the Cavaliers in that situation there with LeBron James, this is more about the maturation of Kyrie and him trying to find his way. I leave that situation the way I did, and it was bad. It was toxic. And I go to Boston. Now it's me. I am the man. Let me go lead the way. That's not his makeup. He's not a leader. He's a talented guy. He's one of the best basketball players ever to walk this earth.
He's not a Batman. He's a Robin.
But he's not a leader, okay? So he learned that there. They didn't bring Kyrie in to lead my Brooklyn Nets team. They didn't bring him in to be the leader. They brought KD in to do that, right? So this is more about, okay, this is the story and less about Kyrie and his personality. I'm selling this. I'm not concerned at all. I'll be sitting courtside come next year.
Yeah, look, it's a fair point on the Kevin Durant stuff, because in a way, none of this really matters. Like, nothing this Nets team does this year actually matters. As long as they are not the basketball version of the Clampets and that they hate each other and look like Boston from last year, everything else is going to work out. It's going to be a completely different team playing a completely different style at this time next year when Kyrie comes back. Now, your earlier point...
When KD comes back.
When KD comes back. To your earlier point about how Spencer Dinwiddie's numbers go down, that's a fair concern, because these guys have to know what they signed up for. Spencer Dinwiddie was one of the driving forces in bringing Kyrie Irving to Brooklyn. He was the guy in December that is texting Kyrie Irving saying, this is where that you want to be. So this is what you wanted. You've got to kind of accept it. But if they bow out in the first round of playoffs this year, even if they don't make the playoffs, it doesn't matter. As long as they don't hate each other, it does not matter.
Okay, so hold on. This is more general, but we got to stop with the nothing matters but the one team that wins the title. Nothing matters for Brooklyn this year because they can't win the title, so why play the games? It's one of the reasons that despite the league having more parity than ever before, this season being so interesting, people aren't watching as much. Pardon me. It's one of the reasons that the narrative surrounding all-time great players like James Harden, has he made an NBA Finals in Houston? Well, 40 a game. Who gives a damn? Everything matters. Some things matter more. And whether or not Kyrie Irving, even for one solo season, can be a part of a winning formula does matter, at least to a degree.
But he's a champion, though, Nick. He's a champion. That says a lot. We put guys in these positions as leaders because they're talented. If he's walking around and he wants that and he's saying, I am the leader, then that's his fault, right? But this guy is a champion. He has that pedigree. All we need from him, I need 25 points a game to win. When KD comes back, I need 25 points a game. I need 7 assists, and I need you to hit the clutch shot in those clutch moments. That's what he needs to do. I don't need him to lead my team. I don't need him to stand up when things are breaking down. I need him to do those 3 things. If they do those 3 things next year, they will be in contention.
Well, when KD's not there, he should at least have some semblance of de facto leadership, I think, in his resume.
It's just not in his DNA, though. Like, it's never going to be.